You're probably wondering why this is lagging, and if you are, I mean, you're not wrong for wondering because I was wondering the same thing, Haven't heard so much about this game. I had wanted to try it out and see how well I would do playing it and if it's something that I would actually like. But let's just say when I started, I mean, this is the tutorial screen, like what you're seeing right now is the tutorial screen, and somehow I got lost. Somehow I was stuck. I mean, in the tutorial screen. Who gets stuck in the tutorial screen? Well, I did, but that's besides the point. When I started playing this, I was expecting to, a breath of fresh air because I'd heard so much about this melee focused battle royale game. But as I started playing it, I started to realize something. It's not as optimized as it needs to be because even though my system isn't the best out there, I mean, it plays other games pretty well, but not Naraka Bladepoint. That is, if I'm saying the name correctly. So, what is accounting for this lag and inconsistency in performance? Well, let's take a look at a few games I played and then we'll compare that to a different battle royale I typically play and see what the challenge or issue might be. So, this is the first game I jumped into, right? I had been playing around the settings for a bit because, well, I wasn't getting the best performance from the game, right? So I quickly jumped into this game, and right off the bat, you can tell my PC is struggling. At this point, I was getting between 50 to 60 FPS, usually dipping below the 50 range, right? And I mean, it was bad. It was pretty bad. I was wondering what was happening. And then I had someone throwing something behind me, so I realized that I wasn't alone, right? There was another player, so I quickly jumped into it. And then I know it looks nice looking from here. It looks like I'm sort of like playing in real time, but then there was a lot of lag, like from my input time into what I was actually seeing on screen. So maybe around a few milliseconds late. So I had to sort of like get used to that. But I must say that at least taking this guy out felt good, right? It felt like perhaps maybe I was onto something. But then I don't know if you guys can tell, but I was using controller at this point, and allow me to say I don't think this thing is optimized for controller gameplay. Yeah, so allow me to say I don't think this is optimized for controller gameplay. I mean, it looks like something that was optimized for mouse and keyboard play, and then maybe the controller is more or less like an afterthought, right? But maybe who am I to? Maybe I'm just upset and complaining a lot because my machine couldn't handle the game. But moving on, the way the environment looks, it might look nice, but compared to what I've seen others play, this is not as nice, right? And it's not as nice because I had toned down every graphics setting to the lowest possible, and yet still there was a lot of input lag, or there was a lot of lag, like visually. I mean, and it wasn't as exciting to look at because I had been watching other people's reviews and seeing what they were playing and seeing what I'm playing now. Yeah, I wasn't enthused. I mean, I'm sure you can hear what sounds like a child in the background, and I think that is the guy I was playing with. Either the guy I was playing with might be a child, or maybe it was the gamer, like in the same room with the child. I mean, did you see that? Did you see the lag? Yeah, that was bad. Like it was really bad. And obviously, I wanted to review this game because it was different. But obviously, at this point, my review was going to be biased because I could barely play the game. And seeing these guys fight, I mean, it was supposed to be spectacular, but it was not because there was a lot of struggle on my part to sort of like how do I put it, to sort of like what word should I use to keep up with them. Probably most definitely they had better hardware than I did, and this what was supposed to be an epic fighting scene ended up being, well, a bad one. At the point I started feeling like probably this was ongoing because of my VPN. I felt like maybe my VPN was bad, like my VPN was partly responsible for the lag I was seeing. Maybe the VPN was taking too many resources, and on top of taking too many resources, maybe the VPN was also making my network slower than usual. So I decided to sort of like go out of this game and maybe fix my VPN, thinking that it would help. Well, spoiler alert, it didn't. Let me show you that game too. So after tweaking my settings for a while, right, that is anything and everything I thought could be slowing down my machine, from sound to graphics and what have you, I continued with the gameplay, right, hoping that like it would at least play better, right. Like I said, it didn't. It wasn't any better. At a point, I was just feeling frustrated. I was seeing my teammates have fun, right? But look at this game. Look at this fight, for instance. Though I couldn't do anything like with it because I was basically lagging, and I had teammates trying to talk to me, right? Some of them were asking. I mean, one of them was asking how long I had been playing. I told him I'd already been playing for a few minutes, but I mean, he couldn't believe, he didn't believe me because he thought I was trolling them. But I wasn't doing anything in this game. I was just walking around. We were having all the fun. And can you see the network lights, the red thing in the middle of the screen? Yeah. It kept telling me that my network was bad. And if you listen to my teammates, they were talking about some of the issues with the game. I think one of them was chasing someone, and the other person was running. But then obviously I couldn't relate because I could barely move around. But it looked like they were having fun. It looked like they had been playing this thing for a while. I didn't understand any of the systems. I didn't understand anything going on the screen because, like I said, I could barely play the game. Maybe it's not Naraka Bladepoint's fault I have a bad PC, but I think that if they are trying to get more people to play this game, optimizing it to work on lower range hardware would be the way to go. You understand me? Like, I think that would be the way to go because I could, like I said, I could barely play anything. I'm not sure why it kept saying my network was low because my network speed is around 100 to 150 megabits. I'm not sure what was going on in here. Like I said earlier, taking my VPN down and turning it off didn't do anything. Look at this view. Obviously, this is a gorgeous game, but it pains me that I can't enjoy this. Meanwhile, I play games like Warzone, Apex, and what have you on like mid to high settings, right? But I could barely run this one on low. And look at this attack. I can barely see the person because I'm lagging. I just he appears, disappears, and that kind of a thing. I was wondering how I looked like on his screen, right? But what's the point? So I after playing this for a while, I got frustrated. My teammates had to rescue me with this one, but I played this for a few more seconds, walked around for a while. And I must say it was quite enjoyable, minus the lagging and poor performance issues. It was great, but then at a point I had to move on to something familiar. I had to switch to Apex Legends just to make sure that my hardware wasn't an issue, right? In fact, let's move on to my Apex game. So you guys can see what I'm talking about. But before we move on, just look at this like screen. Yes, we did win this game, but it was basically my teammates doing all the heavy lifting because it looks like this is a regular game for them and not for me. But this is obviously what it looks like if you should win this game. Now that you guys have seen that, let's move on to Apex Legends.
Bold and fatal.
So I quickly jumped into a game of Apex, right? Just to see if my PC was at fault here, right? So right off the bat, you can see that we are performing quite well. We are having more than 60 FPS. I think with medium settings, I usually get between 80 to 100 and something FPS with this game, and you can see that happening right here. So obviously, it's not because my PC is that poor, right? Of course, you don't need a lot of resources to play Apex, right? But it's obvious at this point that my PC is not like so poor that running games is an issue, right? But I was playing Apex fine. Same day, same time. I literally quit. I literally quit Naraka Bladepoint and then jumped into this game. So same day, same PC, same settings, same network, same everything. And even Apex isn't giving me errors with my network, right? So I'm wondering what is happening with Naraka Bladepoint because I feel like that game has got a lot of traction. I've seen a lot of YouTubers say nice things about it, which means that it's a game that has great potential. It's probably a game that a lot of people want to play. But clearly, with what I'm seeing here, it might be hard to get people to play, especially because not many people have the higher tier YouTube game streamer like PC to play like high definition games. So if you want a game where everyone would jump in and play, I think they ought to take a what do I say? They ought to take a lesson, or they ought to learn from what Apex is doing. They ought to learn from what Warzone has done so far. They ought to learn from what Fortnite. I mean, Fortnite works on a potato nowadays, and it's amazing what kind of PCs are playing Fortnite and playing it well. I mean, it's so well optimized that like lower tier hardware is even able to play it right. So it broke my heart. Like if I don't say it broke my heart, I'd be like, it really broke my heart, the kind of performance I had with Naraka Bladepoint. But hey, maybe I'll look at it again in a couple of months. Maybe it will be better optimized, or maybe when I upgrade my hardware, we can take a look at the game again, and maybe it would perform better. Maybe it would perform in a much better state than I did. But for now, if you were to ask me, I think the concept is great. Like melee instead of ranged weapons, Asian setting, like a mythical setting. You know, like people who enjoyed Black Myth Wukong did because it was fresh, it was new, it was not like the recycled slop that has been coming out nowadays. So I think people are interested in something new. So if Naraka Bladepoint, I mean, I doubt they would see this video, because in fact, I doubt more than 100 people are going to see this video. But if you ever see this video, I would say that, hey, you guys have something unique and nice ongoing there, but you guys haven't optimized it for the masses. If you keep putting your hardware, if you keep making the hardware requirements the best of the best, then you're only going to have a few people play it. And I don't think that's how a battle royale grows. So guys, let's look at making your game like cool for everyone, right? If you are still here, at this point, I'm pleasantly surprised. But thank you for listening to my rants, because I couldn't play Naraka Bladepoint, and let's hope we get to see more videos and enjoy our time together. Thank you, and Ace out.
Charging up my shields. Shields are depleted. Recharging.
What? Call faster!
I now have an enhancement. The phase tear.
Reloading. Down. I've been down.